Welcome back. In the previous video, we have talked about an interface where we can carry any number of default method, any number of static method, but only one abstract method. Those type of interfaces is known as functional interface. In this video, we are going to talk about some predefined functional interface which was introduced in Java 8 to ease our work. So let's start. Before we start practicing those predefined functional interface, we need to know the most important thing is that all the predefined functional interface lies inside a java.util.function package. So let's import this package first. Now the first interface we are going to talk about is Predicate. Before we start implementing this Predicate interface, let's see the content inside this interface. We can see that Predicate interface is one abstract method, that is test, which is return type is boolean and can take only one argument, t-type argument. That means it can take any type of arguments, integer, float, boolean, any type of collection classes, and three default methods are there: and, negate, or, and one static method is there, is equal. We are going to cover slowly by slowly all the contents inside this Predicate interface. The first topic that we are going to cover is to see that how we are going to use the abstract method of Predicate functional interface. Let's write a lambda expression of that abstract method. Predicate generic type will give integer, reference name, vote, eligibility. We know that in test abstract method can take only one argument, so we will pass only one argument. So let's understand this lambda expression first, and after that we will call this interface reference. Okay, so according to this lambda expression, any value that we have entered and it is greater than 18, then it will return true, otherwise it will false. And we have already know that test abstract method will return only boolean condition, either true or false. No other output it will come except that. So let's write a if else logic. Here we will pass 20. Now when I am calling this one with the help of abstract method and passing this argument 20, that we can see that 20 is greater than 18, which is condition will be true, then value will come inside if logic. So we will pass a statement here. Person is eligible to vote. And if the condition will return false, then it will come person is not eligible to vote. Right now I have passed the argument 20 and the condition will return true. Then in this time statement will come like to this person is eligible to vote. Let's execute this code first to see the output. Predefined interface. You can see the output is here, person is eligible to vote. Now what if I will change it from 20 to 17? Now this time it is condition it will return is false, so it should come inside else logic. Person is not eligible to vote. So we have seen how we can use test abstract method. Now there are three default methods are available in Predicate interface. The first default method that we are going to talk about is negate operation. Predicate dot negate. The job of this negate is to change the output. What does that mean? That means if this lambda expression will return true, then output it will change as false, and if it will return false, then output it will change return true with this negate method. How? Let's see that. Let's call test, and here we will pass again the previous example 20. we can see that 20 is greater than 18. Okay, so it will condition, it will return true, but here it is negate method is used, so it will just change the output from true to false. So now if I will execute this code, it will come inside else logic and output will come person is not eligible to vote. So let's execute this code to see that one. Person is not eligible to vote. Now what if I will give less than 18? Let's say this time I will give 15, and this time condition it will return false, but because of this negate operation, that false will return as true. Now this time it will execute this code, person is eligible to vote. Let's execute to see the output. Person is eligible to vote. So that's how negate default method works. Now another default method that what we are going to talk about is and default method. To use default method, we need to add one more lambda expression. So let's write one more lambda expression. Now according to this lambda expression, if any value which passes and value is less than 80, then only it will return true, otherwise it will false. Okay, now the first lambda expression, which is vote eligibility reference, what we have written, that any value which is greater than 18 it will return true, and the second one, any value which is less than 80 it will return true. Now we will see that how we are going to use both the lambda expression inside and default method. So vote eligibility dot and default method, and here we will write another lambda expressions interface name vote age limit, right, dot test here I will pass, let's say 30. Now let's understand one thing first, the job of AND operation, that if both the value will return true, then only the final output it will come as true. There is one thing that we need to understand about this AND default method, that if the first one and the second one will return true, then only this whole operation will return as true. What does that mean? That means is if the argument that we have passed, this 30, it should be greater than 18, and the second one, that is it should be less than 80, then only this whole operation will be returned as true. So what the argument we have passed? We have passed 30. We can see that 30 is greater than 18 and 30 is less than 80. So in this case, this one is true and this one is also true, right? So the whole operation is true. Now the whole operation is true, then this if logic will become as true and answer will come inside in this if logic, person is eligible to vote. Let's execute this code to see the answer. Person is eligible to vote. Okay, now what if I will change to from 30 to less than 18, let's say 15. Now we can see that the argument that what we have passed 15 is greater than 18 is condition will false. This condition it will return false. So this one is false, and the second one is 15 is less than 80. This condition it will return. So false and true will become false. So that means the answer it will come as false only. So it will come inside else logic, right? So what will be the output this time? Person is not eligible to vote. Let's execute this code to see the answer. Person is not eligible to vote. Now what if I will give the answer from 15 to 81? Now we can see that 81 is greater than 18, so vote eligibility will return as true, but vote age limit will return as false, because 81 is less than 80, condition will be returned as false only. Okay, now true and false, again it will return as false, and the answer will come inside here. Person is not eligible to vote. Whenever I am using AND operation, you need to understand one important thing is that means I am using between those two conditions. This should be true, this should be true, then only the value will come as a true condition, otherwise it will come as a false condition. So let's execute this code again to see the answer. Person is not eligible to vote. So we have seen how we are going to use AND default method. Now The third default method that we are going to see is OR. In the AND operation, I have told you that both the conditions should be true, then only the actual output will return as true. In OR default method, if any one will be true, then it will come under as true, otherwise it will false. Okay, what does that mean? That means I have passed here argument is 81, correct? 81 is true in first vote eligibility. This one is true and the second one is false. Okay, so true or false. That means if one condition is true, the whole output it will become as true. So in this case, output will come as person is eligible to vote. So let's execute this code to see the answer. Person is eligible to vote. Okay. Now what if I will give less than 18, let's say 12. Now in this case, this one will vote eligibility will return as false and vote age limit will return as true. So false or true, the output will become as the true, person is eligible to vote. So let's execute this code to see the answer. The only way the false it will come if both the condition it will be false. So let's check how we can make to both the condition will be false. So let's say if I will do something like this, greater than 18, and here I will pass something like 16 argument. That means whatever the argument will be passed. So if I will pass here 17, we can see that 17 greater than 18, this will return as false, and 17 less than 16, this will also return as false. That means both the condition will be returned as false, then the total output it will become false, then it will come inside this else category. Person is not eligible to vote. Let's execute this code to see the answer. Person is not eligible to vote. So what are the things we learned? We learned about 3 default method, AND default method, OR default method, negate default method, and the last static method is equal. The job of is equal is to compare between the two arguments. If both the arguments are equal, then it will return as true, otherwise it will false. First of all, we will remove all these examples. Now predicate, let's take argument this time as a string. Dot is equal, this is static method, and here we will pass one argument, let's say Java 8. Now we can see that we have passed the same argument, whatever it is written in predicate dot is equal, then it in this situation it will return as true. Let's take one more statement to verify our knowledge. In this case, I will change this argument as Java 8 to Spring. It's a different argument, then in this case it will return as false. The first one it will return as true because the same argument, and the second one it will return as false because the arguments are different. Let's execute this code to see the answer. The first one is true and the second one is false. So we have learned all the contents which is inside predicate functional interface.